Hi, this is Mike, and in this video, I'm going to show you the updated count for the Dow Jones and what I believe will lead us into the next big crash. So, the most critical update that's happened here in my analysis has been the move up since the GFC, right? So, I have been expecting a wave D the whole time, and now I realize that the whole time it's been an expanded type 2 zigzag. So right here, you can see the subdivisions, the first move up being A, small a, B, C, and then we had an expanded D within D. So for me, the most important part came when I realized what's going on up here was being misinterpreted due to the waves being a bit too obvious, and therefore misleading me into thinking something else. And the clue came when I looked closely at this supposed, B wave that I thought it was, where it wasn't actually a B wave. If you look closely at the subcomponents, there is not actually a proper zigzag in there. It's just taking on the shape of a zigzag. So I think this has been the part that's been the most critical to this new discovery. So that means that basically what we've been in now since the end of, the COVID drop 2020 March was basically a wave C, right? And it's a weak wave C. Okay, and I'll go down to the smaller degree in a moment to explain it to you, right? So I think that what happened in 2020 was actually a warning shot for this move to indicate to us that yes, wave D is almost over, and then it needed that final thrust up, which like I said, is it appears to be a weak five wave move in the Dow at least. Um, Whether or not that's the same in the NASDAQ, I'm going to cover that shortly. I'm just basically introducing this idea first so you understand what I believe is coming. So, where is it going to drop? Potentially, I see this dropping back to the end of wave A, right? So, that would mean that price of on the Dow Jones, we could see it come back down to about 12,000. Okay, so that's a rough estimate depending on if price does come back to create a type 1 expanded zigzag, which means that the correction for wave B ends basically near the high of wave A, right? So it can drop lower. You can definitely drop lower, and there's nothing to say that that cannot happen. Nothing can basically say that it can't drop as far as 1987 crash, because that is the beginning of the wave D, right? I don't think it will go that low, but I'm just saying that there's no rule against it. The only thing would be that in order for wave C that's coming in the next bull market, which will be the same length as wave A, obviously that would need to make a new high from a certain level, and that level could definitely be lower if it needed to be, right? It could even go dip just below the GFC level, right? Do I think there's a chance that it could come back and find support somewhere around here and create some kind of megaphone pattern? Well, if I put the wave down here, look, it's possible, but I think wave C would need to be a little bit longer in the next bull market for that to be the case, which by the way, it, it's not impossible. Okay, so that's going to be quite a significant drop from the highs. We would get a roughly 87, 80 to 90% drop. If it came back to previous wave A, end of wave A, we could only see potentially a 60 to 70% drop roughly. So we won't know how that pans out. But what I can say is whatever's happened since the GFC was completely a bubble. And this is going to be resolved in wave E, which will complete the sequence for the corrective portion of the expanded zigzag. So let's just go closer now so I can explain to you the week 5 wave move, which obviously is longer than wave A, but this is normal for D waves. The C wave can expand, as I've mentioned before. Small degree Bitcoin move, I believe that's a D wave. Okay, so that move can expand. It can show confusion. These patterns seem to line up in interesting ways as I observe them. So I think it pays to pay attention to what's going on in this video. All right, so in order to do this, I'm going to go to the US 30 chart. And of course, they always say no one knows what's going to happen, but I don't believe that. I think that there's always a wave count that is a correct wave count. So there's the COVID crash wave E for wave B. Now, I'm going to show you what I think now is the week 5 wave move right from the beginning. So let me just zoom into the 4-hour chart and take us back to the March 2020 beginning. So I believe the first move up was an A wave, which was part of obviously wave 1 zigzag. So we had A, B, C, D, E. I remember thinking this was some kind of E. I just didn't know what it was for. So my analysis has come back to help. So basically wave C for wave 1. So that's a zigzag there. Then we have an A, B, C, D, E for wave 2. And then I believe we had A, B, C for wave 3. And then for wave 4, we have A, B, C, D, and now E has been this move back down here, which I believe is done. And I believe what's going on now is wave 5 zigzag, right? So I believe wave 5 zigzag is in progress, and we just need to make sure that there's no rules broken here. So we know that wave 1 is probably the longest move here. So therefore, we'd have to be careful that wave 3 is not the shortest, which I don't think it will be. So what that means that wave 5 can only be a certain length, which is the length of this move right here. So it's basically just going to go back to all-time highs from the October low, which to me tells me there's no more downside. But what I do believe is going to happen is that once we finish this correction, which we are in now, I do believe wave B will end, and then we'll finally see that move up to that area. So in terms of where do I think wave B will end, well, I'm just going to take this measurement here and basically say to you that once we see this A wave unfold, we could see B, C, D, E at the lows before we then make the final thrust, which will complete the pattern since 2009, right? So that'll be the completion of the expanded wave D, and that's when we'll see that crash that everybody's been anticipating finally come to fruition. So I think that the problem, simply put, was just a little bit early, and wave 4 of wave C basically just expanded with alternation between waves 2 and 4. Even week 5 wave moves have alternation. So I believe there will be a level where you could short this that will make the most sense. And I'll be covering that as I move forward with my analysis and progress it for the small degree count. So then we can understand exactly when this is going to happen based on the count. And when it hits that all-time high, barely clips it because, like I said, it's not allowed to be a certain length. Otherwise, it'd break the rule. So it's just using those rules in reverse to make assumptions based on probabilities. So hopefully you found this video interesting and informative. Thank you for watching.